starting off, I'll be doing my eyebrows and I'll be changing the shape for this look. So I don't have any Elmer's glue, so I'm just going to be using the Duo Lash Glue, and this one's clear. And just to help push the hairs on the end of my brows down, I'm going to be using a spatula. I'm just going to be applying it directly onto the brows itself. Almost said lashes. I'm kind of pressing them down while I'm applying it and just smoothing everything out with the spatula. And I'm going to do this like 2 or 3 times. Okay, now that the glue is dry, I'm going to go in with this Sonia Kashuk brow palette, and I'm going to be using the dark brown for my brows. Okay, now to cover up my brows with some concealer. Okay, now I'm going to set it with a translucent powder. And then I'll be going over it again. Okay, now after a lot of layers, you can still kind of see the eyebrow, so I don't recommend using the lash glue, but it's all I had right now, and it's just a tutorial, so just use the Elmer's glue. And I'm just covering up the concealer with some powder, just really pressing that in. And I'll be going back and fixing the brows, so don't worry. Okay, now that I got my brows looking like a hot mess, I'm gonna use hair strokes later on. I'm not gonna do it right now because I still gotta put on the face makeup later. I always put on my eye makeup first because I don't want any fallout or anything on the rest of my face. So I'm just gonna get started on the eyes. You gotta start with a primer, and the one I'm using is from Urban Decay. Next, I'm applying a white base, and the one I'm using is from my e.l.f. palette, and I'm just applying it with my finger. Okay, and next I will be in the same palette using a warm brown for the crease, and I'm using a kind of fluffy, loose, bristled, angled eyeshadow brush. Okay, now going into my Tarte palette, I will be using this dark brown called Hot Chocolate. And I'm just using a regular crease brush. Using a brown eyeliner, and this one is from e.l.f. It's a cream eyeliner, and it's in the color Coffee, and I'm just going to be applying it with the concealer brush because I don't have another synthetic brush, and it's so much easier to apply cream with the concealer brush right now. So I'm just going to pat it on the lid just so I can darken up that color. And now I'm going in again with Hot Chocolate, and I'm using a flat eyeshadow brush and just patting it on over the eyeliner. Okay, and now I'll be using the blending brush that came in the Tarte kit itself, and starting off, I'm making little circles up to what was the highest point of my brow, and then blending back and forth. for under my brow, I'm going to be using the same palette, and this one called Come What Gray. Of course, it's in the name, it's kind of a grayish tone. It's a pale gray, and I'm just going to be highlighting a little bit under my brow. Okay, and still using my Tarte palette, I'm going to be using this matte black called Black Velvet and another small loose eyeshadow brush. I'm just going to be using it on the outer corner and in my crease just to darken it up a bit. And again, pulling it up towards my temple. Now for my favorite eyeliner, my Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liner. Now I'm just going to curl my lashes, and then I'm going to get started on the rest of my face makeup, which I will be posting a link down below. I'll have two if you want to just do a lighter coverage for, I'm going to post the everyday makeup, and if you want to do full coverage, I'm going to be posting a link for that too. Okay, now that the face makeup is done, I'm going to go back into the Tarte palette, and I'm going to be using the eyeshadow called Gingerbread Mansion. It's kind of a darker brown shimmery color, and I'm just going to be using a flat eyeshadow brush to apply it in the middle, the inner corners of my eyes. Okay, now I'm going to be applying a shimmery gold called Baby It's Gold Outside. And yeah, I know they're holiday names, but they work for what I'm doing. So I'm just going to be applying this towards the inner corners of my eyes as well. And now for my waterline, I'm going to be applying Sephora's retractable waterproof liner. And it has a nice little smudge brush at the end of the tip, so I can make it nice and smoky. And going in with the same eyeshadow that I use in my crease, a Hot Chocolate, I'm going to be applying it to the lower lashes with another flat brush and kind of smudging it out a bit. And just going over it again with that black eyeshadow I used in my crease, Black Velvet, sorry. Okay, and I'm going to be using the Sony Kashuk number 10. It's an angled flat brush, and it's my favorite brush for this. So I'm going to be using the Black Velvet again. And just kind of dragging it. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the Too Faced matte bronzer. This one is medium deep. And I'm just going to be applying it around my hairline and, of course, right under my cheekbone and a little bit on my nose area. And I'm just going to be pushing it down towards the center of my face and also creating kind of like a widow's peak almost down the center of my forehead as well. Now to build the color up, I'm going to be using the eyeshadow I used on my lids, and of course I'm going to be gradually putting it on, so just lightly dip it in to the shadow. Okay, now going back in with that same gray that I used right under my brows, I'm going to be using that to kind of highlight just right here in the middle of my forehead and down on the bridge of my nose. I feel like it gives it that dirty wolf look. Back to the brows, I'm going to be drawing the little hairs, and I'm going to be using this small angled brush from Sephora, only because it's really thin, so it's going to be a lot easier to take control of the brush strokes. And I'm using this brown brow powder from NYC. Continuing doing the same hair-like strokes along everywhere that I covered with bronzer. Yeah, I can tell it's late. So yeah, I'm gonna start on my forehead and work my way around. Okay, now to finish everything off, I'm going to be using this kind of like brown pinkish dark shade. It's weird. It looks different than it does in the tube, but yeah, this is from LA Splash and it's Spellbound. And I'm done. So this is my interpretation of Chrisspy's Werewolf, and I wasn't really prepared for it. I know she's been so popular with everything that she's been posting, and I wanted to recreate it myself. So I did what I could. So hopefully you guys like it and got something from it. And like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching. The big bad wolf. Okay, starting off like every other time, I start, and like always, you gotta start by. The big bad wolf. Okay, but okay. So, Butterfingers. Now to build this up a bit, I'm gonna be using the same eyeshadow that I used on my